This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs.
Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a deck for the BT9 meta. It's my first BT9 meta list, so chances are it's going to be updated down the road anyways, but I really want to make a Magnamon list, and this is my first one from it. I've been testing it a lot, and it's been super fun. It's hard to tell if it's going to be good enough for the meta, but I've really been enjoying the list, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. So we're just going to go over the kind of core cards, at least from the set, and then we're going to show the deck list at the end as well. So just starting us off, we do have this Magnamon X antibody from the set. It has an alternate Digivolution requirement of just Digivolving for 4 on top of a Magnamon, so the one from the previous set. It's blue, yellow. It doesn't have Armor Purge or the Armor trait, so do take note of that, but it has this great effect of opponent's turn. When opponent's Digimon attacks, if a card with Armor form in its traits or X antibody is in this card's devolutions, then you can switch the attack of the target to this Digimon. So if this is suspended, unsuspended, whatever, this can just prevent your opponent from attacking anything but itself. That's fantastic for this game. There's really not an effect like it, which is why it's really cool. You can cheat up into it, especially with a Magnamon. So for example, if you went to Magnamon and you kept it your turn, that would mean that you would have about what? Like, depending on how much armor is in your trash, you could go up like plus 4, 6k, something like that, and then it would transfer over to this guy. So you could be like a 15 plus k DP that also any of your opponent's Digimon that attack, it's not a once per turn effect either. You can just keep directing it in here, and even when this does die all turns, when this Digimon would be deleted, and it's not deleted, it's just would be deleted, you may place the top card of this Digimon on top of your security stack face down to prevent that deletion, which is kind of like an Armor Purge, but better because you get to recover for it as well. So it's a really cool card, and I think it's worth making kind of a whole deck around, especially since you don't get the actual deletion off of it. Things like Piercing don't affect, and like I think a lot of good green cards like that come out for the kind of the BT9 meta don't work with this guy. Even Armor Purge doesn't work with, which is really nice. So that's why we're doing this guy. So he's the big bad boss monster. To get there, we do also have this Awakening of the Golden Knight. I don't know if this is the official translation name of it. I've heard a couple different for it, but this option card that we get, where your Digimon has Armor Form as trait, you can use this card without meeting its color requirements. Main, you may Digivolve one of your Digimon with Armor Form in its traits into a Digimon with Magnamon in its name from your hand, ignoring its evolution requirements and without paying its memory cost. The Digimon that Digivolved with this effect can't have its DP reduced by your opponent's effect until the end of your next turn. And also security, turn one card with Magnamon in its name from your trash to your hand and add this card to your hand. So this is a great hit off security. Being able to Digivolve into your big bad boss monster off of any armor is great as well, and it's worth it. I think it's worth the kind of cost for it, and there's some nice things for it. So I really like the idea of it. And again, it's a great hit in security because it does give you kind of a +2. It just lets you pretty much give the pieces you need to get into this guy, whether you need the level 4 Magna, the X antibody level 6. If you have either of those in your trash, you can grab them, and then you can go from here. We also, one more card I want to just kind of highlight that's from the set, and kind of one of the reasons I made this list the way it is Pegasusmon. So Digivolve 2 from Patamon in an Armor Purge, and when this Digimon would be deleted, you get to just trash the top. And then when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gains Security Attack -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. So being able to do the Armor Purge is great, and being able to Digivolve off a Patamon for 2, and just honestly having another copy of a yellow-blue armor in the game is, I think, good enough for this as well. So I really like this guy, and so it made me just decide to make this heck of a mess of a list. This has been fun. This is not my final build at all, but this is the one that I've been testing, and a lot of you guys on my stream wanted me to kind of give it to you guys. So here is the current build for it. I did make some changes since the last testing. So the biggest change is adding this Renamon instead of a Salamon. I did have like the Salamon that does trigger DNA devolution, and I took that out for this. I think this is just better as an inheritable for our cards. It just has an inheritable once per turn. When you use an option card with memory cost of 2 or more, you get to gain a memory, which is also why we're using the Viximon as our eggs. So if we have Viximon and Renamon on top of, like, let's say an Ankyomon, or even better, let's say we have like it on a Pegasusmon, and then we use like the Awakening into the Magna. This is just Digivolving for 2 up into a level 6, and we get a draw card and then do like 2 card draws, so it replaces itself, which is great. And something, again, like, we can just go into this, and then if it lives, we can still swing with it. And if it swings, it goes, even though if it's suspended, you can still activate this opponent's turn to direct any attack into this guy too. So I really like the idea of this, and being able to get the memory and kind of cycle, I think, is important for it. Some other cards to talk about. So we do run like this blue Patamon because it just works for the list. Since the Sigivolves are on a Patamon for 2, it doesn't have to be a yellow Patamon. It can just be any. The Submarine Mon is just kind of, it's okay. It's fine for what it is. Being able to Digivolve here is okay for 3 on a blue, or for 2 on top of the Armadillomon by itself. It does have a kind of okay being Digivolution, where you can trash the bottom card of one of your opponent's Digimon, then one of your opponents with no sources gain minus 3k for the turn. So that can be kind of nice. We also do have like the Sardek Patamon, of course. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping to 0, gain 1 memory. And I really kind of wanted to put in a Rapidmon into this list, and it didn't really fit into it. I think it was asking for too much. I do have like some additional cards to think about in this list here, but I think the Submarine Mon's fine, especially since you can just hard cast this for 4, and then you can even from here just do the the Awakening into your big boy Magnamon X Antibody if needed. So that's good enough in my book. Or like it's like a cheap version of Ankyomon at the same time. So even if you have like your stack, you can just hard cast this, and then you can DNA Digivolve into Shakuamon if needed, or Chimeramon and Patamon with the end of turn effect lets you do this even if you overcast. So I think the Shakuamon plays are nice here too, especially since this can just regular Digivolve for 3 on top of a yellow or blue. And then you just get kind of all the effects as well. So I like the idea of this, and I like what it does. Especially you can Digivolve into this, and then it has the minus 3k to anything when attacking, which you can use the Patamon's effect to get the additional stuff. And I do like just everything that this deck's kind of doing. We're running 2 Plasma Shots just for another yellow option card that can trigger off the Renamon and the Viximon. But also this is okay for kind of late game destruction, especially paired up with a Chimeramon. And I almost want to run 2 Chimeramons, and I could be persuaded into it. And I almost want to run like 3 of the X Antibody. I think you get enough cycle for it anyways. But I've yet to be that bold, so you guys can consider that as well. We also do have Ice Wall and Hammer Sparks. I almost want to just do 3 Hammer Sparks too instead of Ice Wall. 1 and 2 is fine, and then we also have the Yellow Memory Boost, which is just so good with the Viximons and the Renamons. Doing this for 2 to search top 4, and you probably keep it your turn, and then also you get another draw for it is kind of nice. It also just makes me want to run the Reinforcing Memory Boost, and maybe I will use that in a future build. I think it's great for what we're doing. And this deck is just so tight in space too. I don't know how I feel about the Tamers. We do have 2 of the TK as well as 3 of the Cody. And I like Cody a little bit more, but obviously you still kind of have to run TK because you still kind of have to, like having a memory setter Tamer is just too good to pass up, especially like turn 1, you can just play this, look through your security and add pretty much most cards in there, which is great. And yeah, I just feel like this, but Cody's just good too because there's just so many cards that have these multicolors. And then also if you have like an Ankyomon inheritable to give something minus 3k, or you have the Shakuamon, so even with like 2 of both these out, you give minus 6k to something, and this gives minus 2k again, so you can just give minus 8k to something when swinging. Again, Plasma Shot can help do that as well. And there's just like a lot of ways to do DP reduction and get some nice little values. Again, Patamon gets the memory boost for that. And yeah, it's yellow blue. This is probably, if I could run like a 55 card list, I probably would. It's very tight in these ratios, and maybe I don't know. 14 rookies seems right, and there's just so many good cards in this level 4 slot for me to run that. There's that, and there's just so many good option cards too. You almost want to run 3 of the Awakening of the Golden Knight, but I think 2 is the right number for it, just because you have to have these Magnamons in your hand to play them in the first place. Though obviously, if you hit in security, you're doing well. Maybe 1 more Reinforcing Memory Boost instead of the Yellow Memory Boost. I could see that even instead of the Ice Wall. But the Hammer Spark, just being able to get the extra memory when you need to, and is great in security, as we all know. I don't know. This is like a really good template, I think, for the list, and I've been really enjoying it. And most of the other lists that I've seen with Magnamon aren't just like this yellow-blue stuff, and I think it's something that's definitely worth giving a try, especially with all the synergy that's kind of going through it. So that is the list here. Some other cards to consider too. I almost want to do like more of a blue leaning list, and I think it's existing like with a blue egg. You can have these Vmons. You can also run the Armadillomons too, just because it does Digivolve on blue and yellow. And then you can run the Patamons, and you can get the kind of values off that. So I think that's something worth it. XVmon is such a good card. It gives jamming, and you can give jamming to Shakuamon because it's also a free trait, so you can swing with it and not feel bad about it. So I think that's also something that's kind of worth giving a look into. And I don't know, there's just a lot of cards to consider for something like this, and it's super fun. It's really fun trying to build the list over this. And when you have a deck that has too many cards for the slots, that's how you know like there's some good deck building choices that you can kind of make for it. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys are excited. Let me know the next build you want for BT9 for me to go over. I've been thinking about doing a Beelstar update. I've been playing that a lot, but if there's something else specifically BT9 you want me to make a deck list for, or kind of just a go over, please let me know in the comments. And that's going to be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.